So today we're going to be talking about the most popular living room chairs in the United States by decade. I find this topic to be fascinating. It's the same reason I made the video on the different architecture, like the bungalows and the ranch and the mid-century modern. I love that kind of thing. So here we go with furniture, because I think if you show me what kind of chair you have in your living room, I can start to really think through what is the aesthetic that this person likes. And I'm the same way. I've got an Eames chair in my living room, so you can it's a remake because the actual OG Eames chairs are freaking expensive. But you can kind of guess what other kind of stuff I'm gonna have in my home just based on that living room chair. So without further ado, we'll get into that. Actually, there's a little bit of further ado. The DFW market update video, I'm gonna be publishing that probably next week. Still waiting for some data to come in. Overall, the national average for a 30-year fixed is gonna be 6.13%, and a 30-year FHA is down to 5.89%, and 30-year VA is 5.9. Interest rates are going down. Unfortunately, layoffs are going up. So there you are. We'll be talking about that and more in the DFW market update next week. Let's get into it. 1920s club chair, featured kind of this like overstuffed leather or fabric, kind of sits low and deep, and influence from the Art Deco movement. And basically after World War One, World War One, Americans wanted a lot more comfort, some luxury, and the roaring 20s, so everybody's kind of feeling themselves with the wealth and all that. And it is a product really of the jazz age. So think like living rooms, speakeasies, you're wearing a smoking jacket and you want a chair that kind of matches that motif, if you will. Club chair all day long. Two main variants dominated. You have got the French one, which is kind of the smooth leather, and then the Chesterfield, which has the pitted leather, but both of them have these nice luxurious arms, and you can just kind of visualize yourself sitting down in it, kind of that Abraham Lincoln statue stance, where it's just kind of nice like that. 1930s, the Lawson chair. So it was very similar to the club chair, but I would say just a little bit more modernized, a little bit cleaner, and probably with the kind of homes that most Americans found themselves in, they might not have had room for the entire, the entire club chair, because those do take up kind of a large footprint. So the Lawson chair presented a little bit more of a compromise, smaller footprint, kind of the same facade, and that's what you end up with. Now you get to the 1940s, and we're talking more about the wingback chair. And so the wingback served a couple of purposes, and by the way, the name wingback chair kind of went with the wings on the back of the chair. So if you sat down, it would kind of look a little bit like you had wings, so wingback. Now the wings are good for, you kind of put a pillow up there and you kind of lean against it. It's good for support. I feel like some of them lean too far that way and you feel like you're in an airplane seat. I don't like that, but if you find the right one, they can be very comfortable. They come in cloth, they come in leather. And then also the wings, if they came forward far enough, they would also protect against, drafts and heat from the fireplace. So before we got pretty much standardized central heating, you would have sources of different temperatures coming through the home. And so if you had the wings up, then you can protect yourself against the disruption of both hot and cold. I think they look great. Unless you have kind of a larger, more established living room, they will look a little bit out of place in my opinion. I think it takes a lot of dedication to go ahead and put a wingback in your living room. 1950s, the Eames chair. So you kind of are starting to take, the leather and the overstuffed, the arms and whatnot, and you're starting to look for a little bit more of a sleek silhouette. Try to maximize kind of the airiness that you've got in the living room. I personally really like the style of the Eames chair. Like I said, I have got one, a remake, and they do get comfortable, but it takes some time because with that design, you do want to get something that has decent leather. And just like a really strong pair of hiking boots, I've got some Danners that I've been breaking in for like the last 10 years. And I think those boots are just now comfortable. I feel like I've got another couple of years before this Eames chair becomes as comfortable as an Eames chair can be. But that's just kind of the fun of the process of buying furniture like that. Let's move on to the 1960s. The egg chair, designed by Arne Jacobsen, kind of follows in that sculptural kind of thing that started to happen, in the 50s with the Eames chair. You got the egg chair here, and it's really a little bit more of a shapely Eames chair, if you will, incorporating some of the features from the wingback. And then, of course, you have the ottoman to go with it, because during this time frame, people really liked the idea of lounging and kicking their feet back. Now, the 70s, things got a little more, I guess you could say, earthy or whatever, and people still wanted the comfort, but they wanted something a little bit different. Enter the Papasan chair, and it reflects, I would say, a little bit more of the casual nature of not just homes and decor, but I'm talking fashion. Like, men were kind of moving away from suits and women were moving away from dresses, and furniture kind of moving away from that classic club chair, wingback chair, Eames chair, swan chair kind of motif, and you end up with basically what is the equivalent of like sweats or t-shirt of furniture. You've got the Papasan chair, very cool, I think, but there were problems with it. I remember sitting on those, lounging on those as a kid, and just trying to get the angle right, very difficult to do. And I think part of that and the difficulty to clean and maintain these things, part of the reason why they went away. In the 80s, I'm sure that everybody is going to remember this. It was the La-Z-Boy, L-A, Big Z, Big B, little Oi, La-Z-Boy chair. And this thing was in everyone's living room. I mean, everyone's living room. And one of the telltale signs that you were getting ready to sit in a La-Z-Boy and not just kind of a bloated, club chair was you look for that handle on the right, and man, you knew you're in for a treat because you pull it and it swings back into a lounger. Who needs an ottoman? It's all in one place, and that was the La-Z-Boy chair. Secretly, I would still like to have one, but my gosh, they were not very easy to place in a living room, because you've got this one big bulky piece of furniture, and you kind of have to have other big bulky pieces of furniture in the living room to kind of offset it. Otherwise, it would stick out like a sore thumb. And eventually, it started to come with buttons or handles that would actuate the built-in ottoman. I didn't like that quite so much, but me, I like a manual transmission. I like to stir my own gears. So of course, a La-Z-Boy for me wasn't a La-Z-Boy unless it had the lever. Moving on to into the 2000s, you had the chair and a half. It is exactly what it looks like. It's like almost twice the width of a regular chair. I'm not really sure the functionality of it, because if you've ever tried to sit two people in that chair, you're much better off with an actual love seat. But this was kind of that, you get a big old cup of coffee, you sit down with a book and a blanket, and this is basically your perch for the next 4 or 5 hours. And I kind of see it as an exaggerated club chair. In the 2010s, you had a bit of the mid-century modern revival, which means they're bringing back the Eames chair. One chair of note, and I'm not sure why it's called that, but it was called the womb chair. And yes, that kind of spelling, I don't know really how I feel about it, but I think the chair is kind of cool. because it was a continuation of the Eames, but with a little bit more, modern build materials. You'll see the kind of the metal legs and whatnot. Cool chair, interesting name. Let's move on to the 2020s, and you've got I want to say it's Buckle, whatever, the lounge chair, cloud chair. And although this one is popular, if you look at kind of the lack of structure in the cloud chair, you can imagine it would be nice to sit down in the beginning, but as soon as you start to kind of relax or fall asleep, you're starting to miss out on some of the structure that the wingbacks had, the Eames chairs had. And I would see this one kind of going the way of the honorable mention chair that I'm going to honorably mention here in just a second. And that one, of course, is the beanbag chair. Everybody loves a beanbag chair. Not everybody loves to live with a beanbag chair. And every once in a while, you still see these coming out. They're still for sale, different fabrics and all that kind of stuff. Maybe even introducing like a little bit of structure to them. And the biggest problem, I think, with the beanbag chair is once you started to see a bean or two on the ground, you knew you were sitting on borrowed time, because at some point that thing is gonna pop wide open, or you're just gonna find more and more beans, and it just became problematic. And I think for that reason, you're never going to have a perfect beanbag, and beanbag chairs are always going to be on kind of the peripheral of regular furniture that you would see people buy and even, pass down from generation to generation. I think with a beanbag chair, depending on which one you get, what materials, you've got about 2 years with that thing before it starts to give up the beans. And I think for that reason, the beanbag chair deserves an honorable mention. I would maybe place that in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, but they just kind of pop up everywhere. Honorable mention to the beanbag chair. Let me know if you liked this video. Put some comments and whatnot, because again, I find this kind of thing fascinating, and I could very much see making some more videos like this. I'll just have to find some categories to talk about. But anyway, I will see you next week with the DFW housing market update. I've been Dalton. This has been the Roof List, and you have been great. I will see you next time.